Well, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, says the reason why the GOP is fine releasing the Epstein files now is because they have been scrubbing the names of any Republicans from the files.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
Okay, so they're taking the names out of the files. He says that's what he's been told from a pretty good source. It could be true, could be not true. The House did vote today on the release of the Epstein files. The vote came down to 427 to 1. Watch this.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Who was the one? Who was the one idiot who voted to continue suppressing the files? If you've tried everything for cheek redness or breakouts and nothing works, well, it's not your fault. The real cause might be deeper than you think. Introducing Clear Skin Ivermectin cream from the Wellness Company, a prescription-strength dermatologist-developed formula that helps reduce inflammation, balance bacteria, and restore your skin's natural glow. This triple-action cream combines 3 medical-grade ingredients for powerful results: azelaic acid to unclog pores and fade dark spots, metronidazole to control bacterial imbalances and redness, and ivermectin to calm irritation and eliminate skin parasites that contribute to rosacea and acne. Together, these ingredients work to reduce bumps, swelling, and redness while supporting smoother, healthier, and more radiant skin over time. Formulated and compounded in the United States, this FDA-approved cream is trusted by doctors for visible and lasting results. Experience clear, confident skin with the Wellness Company's Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream. USA residents only. Head to twc.health/Kim and use code Kim to save $30 off plus get free shipping. Now, whether you think this was Israel or not, even at the base level, this is a pedophilia ring, right? So who is the one who decided to shield and cover up for a pedophile ring? That would be Clay Higgins. That is who. Louisiana Rep. Clay Higgins. He said, I have been a principled no on this bill from the beginning. What was wrong with the bill 3 months ago is still wrong today. It abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedure in America. As written, this bill reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, people who provided alibis, family members. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt, not by my vote. The Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough investigation that has already released well over 60,000 pages of documents from the Epstein case. That effort will continue in a manner that provides all due protections for innocent Americans. If the Senate amends the bill to properly address privacy of victims and other Americans who are named but not criminally implicated, then I will vote for that bill when it comes back to the House. So he's basically saying redact, 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 redact. I am not voting for this unless you redact everybody who hasn't been charged with a crime in relation to the Epstein scandal. Well, guess what? That's everybody. So he's literally wanting everybody except for Jeffrey Epstein himself and Ghislaine Maxwell to have their names completely redacted from the files. That's what he's asking for. He said, oh, this is going to be terrible. This is hurtful. Well, apparently, now Trump is saying, it's fine, release the files, it's fine. But apparently Trump was so upset about or worried about the Epstein files being released that perhaps Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, is onto something when he says they were scrubbing them. Because allegedly, Trump and some of his cronies actually sat in the Situation Room. They actually went to the Situation Room to have a conversation about what to do in regards to the Epstein files being released. The Situation Room, that raises more questions about who actually was involved with the Epstein scandal. Now you're just validating all of our suspicions that it was Israel, a foreign country, and that is why you have to sit in the war room to decide how this implicates and how this affects foreign policy.
The Trump administration and President Trump appeared to be in something of a full court press to try and stop the discharge petition from working. Sources are telling CNN that top Trump administration officials held a meeting on this issue, not just at the White House, but in the Situation Room. Now, according to multiple sources, the meeting was said to have included the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado. Boebert is one of the 4 Republican members of the House who has signed the petition.
I was sitting in the Situation Room to talk about this. I mean, could you be more obvious that Epstein was an asset of Mossad, an asset of Israel, and now you're sitting in the Situation Room to discuss what are the implications of this? What blackmail are we going to be losing, or how many of us have been blackmailed by this, and how many of us are going to be exposed for the fact that we've been conducting American foreign policy at the behest of Israel because we're all under blackmail? What's going to be the implications of this? Yeah, I'll tell you the implications of that. Americans are going to rise up and vote you out. Maybe, you could argue it should be worse, but at minimum, America will vote you out. Here is top spy Ari Ben-Menashe validating that Epstein was, in fact, working for Israel, which gives us, again, all the more reason why these guys were sitting in the Situation Room having this discussion, why Epstein's brother Mark says, yeah, they're scrubbing all the names because there's some national security implications to this, because Epstein was actually an Israeli asset.
Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, there are reports she's in Paris. You maintain that it was your employer, Robert Maxwell, owner of the Daily Mirror. You say that he was an Israeli agent, and as was his daughter.
He was not my employer. I would like to correct that.
Okay.
We worked together with him.
And you say that his daughter, Ghislaine, also, though, worked for Israel, and it was Robert Maxwell who introduced Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell way before the 1990s, as mainstream media is reporting.
Correct. Mr. Epstein was introduced to Ms. Maxwell probably sometime in the 80s. And Mr. Maxwell also thought he might be introducing a fellow to date his daughter. He tried to do a favor to his daughter, to find her a shidduch, as they say in Hebrew, a match.
Okay, and that didn't really quite work out. I suppose what the most alarming allegations that you've been making are that the entire Epstein operation was a honey trap operation to entrap politicians, policymakers, celebrities, people in the media eye, basically to become Israel's assets.
Correct. That it became basically an intelligence operation to entrap different politicians around the world.
And media figures and anybody in Hollywood, anybody that's going to maintain the line that Israel's the innocent, that they're the ones under attack by the world, that anti-Semitism is the scourge of the universe, that anything to protect Israel essentially is what they were doing there. Do we really need this to even be validated? I think we all know at this point exactly what the whole mission was. And clearly it was successful because our politicians are completely in the pocket of Israel. I have to show you this. Trump, this was a few days ago, but he ended up calling a reporter a piggy, a Bloomberg reporter, Catherine Lucy. He said, "Quiet, piggy," and then she was able to ask a question about Epstein, but I just have to play this for you.
So he dictated a couple of memos to something they bring. You got to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that identify JP Morgan shares. So, yeah, you got to go ahead. Quiet, be good.
Quiet, piggy. Okay, so he calls. We did have to sort of.
What can you say?
We had to clean up the audio. Whenever he's on Air Force One, the plane noise is so loud. So we did have to kind of edit it. And that's why it sounds a little bit like a robot. But he does say to her, "Quiet, Piggy." This is the woman he said, I'm sure you were wondering, was she fat, right? That's what everyone's thinking when he says "Quiet, Piggy," because this made big headlines. Trump calls a reporter Piggy, says "Quiet, Piggy" to the reporter. This is the reporter. The reason why he was saying "Quiet, Piggy" to her was because she was asking a lot of questions. And so he was kind of like, you're being a pig, you're hogging all the questions. That's my understanding. But she did end up asking him about Larry Summers. Larry Summers, the president of Harvard, who says he's taking a step back now since his name has been implied in the Epstein files. And actually, this is the big question. The Epstein files isn't just going to implicate Donald Trump and his connections to Epstein, but other powerful people. And that is what people want to know, is who's implied, who has been potentially blackmailed. Now, we understand that the names that are listed, the people may or may not have been blackmailed, but we'd at least know who the people are so that we could then start asking the questions. We could start snooping around. We could start trying to, looking back at their voting records or their records of donations or whatever it is they were doing to see if they were working really on behalf of Israel because they were perhaps compromised. That's why people want to see the list. Understanding that, yes, these people have not been convicted. They might be innocent, but at least we would have the information in front of us to make an informed decision. Unless you're, Clay Higgins from Louisiana and you don't want that information coming out because you want to ensure that the American people still remain to be led by treasonous politicians. But Thomas Massey says there will be no redactions.
Redaction, they have to explain to Congress, and we have a list of reasons they can't use to redact material. And so, for instance, there's been a lot of discussion about trying to protect men who might be embarrassed, let's say because they went to the island. They can't redact it for those reasons. And if they do, they're breaking the law because this is passing the House, the Senate, and being signed by the President.
And if it's signed into law, how long will it take?
Will follow the law even if you got another car coming.
Marjorie answered that question perfectly.
Sidewalk.
We're done with words. We're just looking at
Okay, so the big question, that's good. Thomas Massey saying, look, they can't redact because somebody's going to be embarrassed. But he did also say, if you listened, he said this is going to be passed by the House, the Senate, and then signed by the president. What are the chances, would you say? Let's bet on this. What chances do you think this is actually going to pass the Senate? And then if it does, that the president would sign this? What are the chances this happens and that it happens in a timely manner? Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath on this one. I'm not. But I think at this point with Trump saying, fine, release the files. And if Jeffrey Epstein's brother Mark is right, that they're scrubbing the files of all GOP names or anybody of importance name, then they're just going to release the files and we're just going to see redactions or names will be missing or who knows what they're going to do to modify the files. I'm certainly not holding my breath, that's for sure. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. It is free for you to watch. Again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, KimIversonShow.com. See you there.